Daya Koro More, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Daya Koro More, Tuma Bina Ke Daya. Hello, Jagat Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Moh Samapatita Prabhu. Na Pavya Prabhu Nityananda Duke Golokana Duke Doya Korosita Pati Advaita Goshai Tava Pabale Pai Aha Rupa Raghunatha Pata Yoga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanath Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Shri Ramachandra Sangha Amage Narotamudas Ramachandra Sangamage Narotamudas Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is a song composed by Narottam Das Thakur. He prays to Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Actually, this is a fact. Not only Narottam Das Thakur, but Rupa Goswami also prayed to Lord Chaitanya in this way. At the time of the first meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Rupa Goswami at Prayag, Allahabad, Sri Rupa Goswami said, my dear Lord, you are the most magnificent of all incarnations, because you are distributing love of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. When Krishna was personally present, he simply asked us to surrender, but he did not distribute himself so easily. But this incarnation, Lord Chaitanya, although Krishna himself makes no such distinction, he simply distributes. Take love of Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is approved as the most magnificent incarnation. Narottam Das Thakur says, please be merciful to me. You are so magnanimous because you have seen the fallen souls of this age, and you are very much compassionate to them. But you should know also that I am the most fallen. No one is more greatly fallen than me. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. Then he prays to Lord Nityananda Sukhi. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, I may also become happy. Then he prays to Advaita Prabhu. Doya Koro Sitapati Advaita Goshai. Advaita Prabhu's wife's name was Sita. Therefore, he is sometimes addressed as Sitapati. Thus Narottam Das Thakur prays, my dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be kind to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. Actually, Advaita Prabhu invited Lord Chaitanya to come down. When Advaita Prabhu saw that the fallen souls were all engaged simply in sense gratificatory processes, not understanding Krishna consciousness, he felt very much compassionate and capable of claiming them all. He therefore prayed to Lord Krishna, please come yourself. Without your personal presence, it is not possible to deliver these fallen souls. Thus, by his invitation, Lord Chaitanya appeared. Naturally, Narottam Das Thakur prays to Advaita Prabhu, if you will be kind to me, naturally, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda also will be kind to me. Sanatan Rupa Raghunath, Swarup Lord Chaitanya Prabhu wanted. Two personal attendants, Swarup Damodar and Govinda, were always constantly with Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur also prays to Swarup Damodar and then to the 6 Goswamis, the next disciples of Lord Chaitanya. Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. These 6 Goswamis were directly instructed by Lord Chaitanya to spread this movement of Krishna consciousness. Narottam Das Thakur also prays for their mercy. After the 6 Goswamis, the next Acharya was Srinivasacharya. Actually, Narottam Das Thakur was in the disciplic succession after Srinivasacharya and was almost his contemporary. And Narottam Das's personal friend was Ramchandra Chakravarti. Therefore he prays, I always desire the company of Ramchandra. He desires a devotee's company. The whole process is that we should always pray for the mercy of the superior acharyas and keep company with pure devotees. Then it will be easy with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
Jashgaru, you have to unmute yourself. Yes, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay, I've done it. Hello. So where are we up to? Were we off? Where did we get to?
So just continue. That's fine. You did the most. We could get the most thing.
What happened, Ambarish?
I think your audio, the bandwidth which you are on is a bit less, it was telling me. So it's a bit of a struggle, but please continue.
I'm sorry. Help me understand what.
So your bandwidth, meaning that your video quality would be a bit less than with the audio. Yeah.
I can't help but be reminded of His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami. When I would always say, "What? Just throw it in the bin, and take out the Bhagavatam. We'll just read something." But hey, can you hear me now? Is it happening or yes?
I can hear now more.
There you go.
But it's very erratic.
Okay. So the technological glitches of life is a wonderful mood because it is a way to come. Sorry? I have no idea what is going on. I don't know whether you're hearing me, whether you can see me. I heard somebody else coming in.
We can see you, we can hear you, but it goes off and on. So you do not worry, you just speak. It'll all be perfectly all right.
Oh, Ambarish, this is a leap of faith. Don't worry if anyone can hear or understand anything, just keep speaking. Oh, Okay. Maybe I'll make a point right now, Ambarish, for next time. Maybe you could spend a few minutes with me and try and install this on my computer instead of this stupid phone. If it's possible to put Zoom on the computer, it might be a little more reliable, possibly.
Yes. Now what you're speaking, as you're speaking, is perfect. It's coming very nicely, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So just continue with it.
You have to be an eternal optimist to run a show like this, Ambarish. Good on you.
Hare Krishna.
So I don't know what you've heard. Again, I'll say it for the third time. Srila Prabhupada was so wonderful in his purport to that bhajan that he's explaining the process for coming to Krishna consciousness. He was explaining that we have to hear from the previous acharyas in the line of disciplic succession, right down to his friend, his dear friend was Ramchandra. And so he also wanted to always have the association, because by his association, he was in action to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again, it's dropped out. I cannot get inspired to keep talking when I see that I think it's dropped out. How can I do that? I just...
Prabhuji, you dropped off, you're back again. For a few seconds, you were perfectly all right. Just keep going, Prabhuji.
Oh, boy.
I'm
Prabhuji, just about...
It's just a suggestion. Perhaps if he turns off his video, maybe the audio quality will improve.
Okay, good point. Jai Sila Prabhu, would you want to try to do that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we'll go along.
If you want to...
We'll be led by the
video, see, maybe audio quality may improve.
I hope it's not Andaya Tande. I will...
You should be all right.
So...
Just turn off the video, that's it. Turn off the video.
Sorry? Again, it's just stopped. You want me to turn the video off?
Yes, just turn the video off. That's it, Prabhuji. It is telling me here that your network bandwidth is low. That's what it's telling me.
I can't do anything about it. I have no idea.
Now your voice is perfect.
So I've turned off the video.
Now we can hear you perfectly, Prabhuji. Just continue now. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
See, Madhuri Mataji also there now.
Are we losing that? All suggestion would be if we're losing... again, it's dropped out as far as I can see over here. Okay, I'll keep speaking just to say hello, to keep talking, to keep the thing to... See if you can hear me, but when I don't hear anything back...
Hare Krishna.
Just you unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Now you're back. You muted yourself, Prabhuji. So now we can hear.
I didn't touch anything. I haven't touched it. Anyway, no problem. So my suggestion would be, we've got two. We've got one suggestion on the floor, which means to continue just speaking and forget the video. That is a possibility. If this, as we're speaking, if this doesn't drop out, that's a continued possibility. So we'll look at that one. The other one is that you go to Atmananda Prabhu if he's got a better connection, and work with Atmananda. If he's got a good connection and he's ready to, so Atmananda, I'd encourage to kind of think he may be on sooner than later. If this keeps dropping out all the time, it's not fair for your viewers, for the people that are connected. It's not fair to them to have to suffer.
Prabhuji, now suddenly your audio is all right.
Well, that was what Mataji was suggesting, maybe the bandwidth and all that kind of tech stuff.
Yeah. So please continue for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, the subject matter that I chose was the divinity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And during the week, I was actually listening to Srila Prabhupada speaking about Lord Chaitanya. And he made I thought, a very simple and wonderful point, as he would do very often. He said, Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. The beginning of Sri Shikshastakam begins like that. Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. So Srila Prabhupada said, the first thing that has to be cleansed, the dirt within the heart that is covering our consciousness, is the bodily concept of life. When we are thinking that we are this body, that is the first dirt in the heart. And if that can be cleansed, then everything becomes possible for us to understand in the process of Krishna consciousness. But unless that's cleansed, it's practically impossible. So he quoted the verse from Bhagavatam that sa eva gokara, that if one is thinking himself to be this body made of mucus, bile, and air, if he's identifying with the land of his birth as worshipable, if he's seeing his family members as permanently his own, and he visits a holy place of pilgrimage simply to take Srila Prabhupada in this lecture. He said, people think Tirtha finished to show that I've been to the holy place. But he said, this is not the actual process. The process is Cheto Darpana Marjana. We have to associate with and acquire from the sadhus who can give us this connection, this divine, or this connection to the divine through the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and the 9 processes of devotional service. So when we first hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we may not be so convinced as many people were not convinced. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, there's a wonderful pastime where the Lord reveals his divinity to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He travels to Jagannath Puri, to the Jagannath Puri temple, and he comes to the temple and sees Jagannath, but he doesn't see the deity form of Jagannath. He sees Sundar, it is Krishna, fully manifest. So the Lord enters into an ecstatic trance and collapses unconscious to the ground. And the devotees are trying to revive him, and it appears practically like he's left his body. There's no sign of any life. And the guards are all confused what to do, and it's a great to do. Somehow or other, by the Lord's mercy or the Lord's arrangement, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya appears, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the advisor to King Pratiparudra. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was known as the greatest logician in India at that time. He had written his treatise on Jaya, the philosophy of logic, and he was referred to by all the pundits at that time. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came there and he put a cotton swab. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he put this cotton swab just to the Lord's nostril and could see that it is actually moving. And he said, this personality is a very special, exalted person. Please bring him to my home. Let him be there and So from Adi-lila chapter 6, I'm going to read a little bit. This is a summary given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Prabhava Bhashya, describing when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the temple of Jagannath. He immediately fainted. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then took him to his home. Meanwhile, Gopinathacharya, and this is all exciting stuff. It's very, very exciting. I've got so much to cover, but we'll see how we go. The brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, this is Gopinathacharya, met Mukunda Dat and talked to him about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas and his journey to Jagannath Puri. After hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fainting and his being carried to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, people crowded there to see the Lord. Srila Nityananda Prabhu and other devotees then visited the Jagannath temple, and when they came back to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya received everyone and distributed Mahaprasad with great care. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then became acquainted with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and arranged accommodations at his aunt's house. His brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya, established that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself. But Sarvabhauma and his many disciples couldn't accept this. However, Gopinath Acharya convinced Sarvabhauma that no one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead without being favored by him, by the Lord himself. He proved by Shastric quotations from the revealed scriptures, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself in person. Still, Sarvabhauma did not take these statements very seriously. Hearing all these arguments, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his devotees that Sarvabhauma was his spiritual master and that whatever he said out of affection was for everyone's benefit. We have to understand also, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was approximately 25 years old. Sarvabhauma was a senior personality, maybe in his late 60s, 70, like that. So, and he was a very established guru and leader of many disciples. So when Sarvabhauma met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked him to hear Vedanta philosophy from him. So again, this is a summary of this, is all explained in great detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And for 7 days, he continuously heard Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explain the Vedanta Sutra. We can also hear that Sarvabhauma admonished Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, "Why have you taken sannyas? You are such a young man, you're so beautiful, and you're at such a young age. This is not a good idea. This is, sannyas means that people will adore you, they will offer you worship, and you will become influenced in this way." So he was trying to, as a great leader and senior guru, but the Lord went along with his and said, Sarvabhauma was my spiritual master, and that whatever he says out of affection was for everyone's benefit. So continuing this summary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Lord remained very silent after hearing the explanations of Vedanta Sutra from Sarvabhauma. Because of his silence, the Bhattacharya asked him whether he was understanding the Vedic philosophy very clearly. The Vedanta philosophy. And the Lord replied, "Sir, I can understand Vedanta philosophy very clearly, but I cannot understand your explanations." There was then a discussion between the Bhattacharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu concerning the authority of the Vedic scriptures, specifically the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra. The Bhattacharya was an impersonalist, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proved that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He proved that the conceptions of the Mayavadi philosophers concerning the impersonal absolute truth are incorrect. The absolute truth is neither impersonal nor without power. The greatest mistake made by the Mayavadi philosophers is in conceiving the absolute truth to be impersonal and without energy. In all the Vedas, the unlimited energies of the absolute truth have been accepted. It is also accepted that the absolute truth has his transcendental, blissful, eternal form. According to the Vedas, the Lord and the living entity are equal in quality but different quantitatively. The real philosophy of the absolute truth states that the Lord and his creation are inconceivably and simultaneously one and different. The conclusion is that the Mayavadi philosophers are actually atheists. There was much discussion on this issue between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but despite all his endeavors, the Bhattacharya was defeated in the end. At the request of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then explained the Atmarama verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam in 18 different ways. When the Bhattacharya came to his senses, he understood it. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He understood no human being could make such compilations, such explanations. This personality is not a Jivatma. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He was able to defeat the greatest logician, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So when he came to his senses like this, Sri Chaitanya disclosed his real identity, and the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that. He actually revealed the Satbhoj, the six-handed form of Lord Chaitanya carrying his danda and kamandalo, the water pot. Lord Ramchandra carrying his weapons, and Lord Krishna playing his flute. So he displayed this to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he said, the only reason I've come to this south part of India is to meet two personalities. That is you, Sarvabhauma, and Ramananda. That is why I've come here. So the Bhattacharya then, so we can imagine this is how elevated this Bhattacharya Sarvabhauma was. He recited 100 verses in praise of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered his obeisances to the Lord. After this, Gopinathacharya and all the others, having seen the wonderful potencies of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became very joyful. So there's many. I'm going to move here. I'm going to move from this revelation, the Lord's revealing his transcendental form. He's showing, he's presenting convincing arguments to eat and convert the greatest logician. And then we hear later in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear about Prakashananda Saraswati. So Lord Chaitanya had sent Tapan Mishra, and who was the other person? Chandrasekhar, I think, to Benares. So it seemed very strange that the Lord had sent them there. But somehow it was the Lord's arrangement, because the Varanasi or Benares is the place of the seat of the Mayavad philosophers. So the Lord visited there, and he was blasphemed in different ways by these Mayavad sannyasis as he was traveling through Benares. And then he went on to Vrindavan and came back to Benares. So on his way back, this transcendental arrangement was made for the Lord sannyasis. The Lord would not accept their invitations. Neither he associated with them. But I'll go on there because where's the time factor? Okay, yes. I'll come back to this. Just see if there's anything specific that I didn't cover that was impossible. Okay. That's good. Okay. So reading a little bit from the Adi-lila, 7th chapter, text number 33, we pick up this story. How the Lord is wanting to deliver everyone. Seeing that the Mayavadis and others were fleeing, Lord Chaitanya thought, I wanted everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead, but some of them have escaped. Therefore, I shall devise a trick to drown them also. Translation. Thus, there's many purports, very, very beautiful purports about this whole pastime, but I'll just stick to the verses mainly. Thus, the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life, and after full consideration. So this was the Lord's trick. He wanted to bring everyone and give everyone the opportunity of love of Godhead, and these people were escaping. Mahaprabhu remained in household year. He accepted the sannyas order. This was not necessary for the Lord to do, but to help the conditioned souls, especially Mayavadis, he did it. After accepting the sannyas order, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attracted the attention of all those who had evaded him, beginning with the logicians. Thus, the students, infidels, fruitive workers, and critics all came to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya excused them all, and they merged into the ocean of devotional service. For no one can escape the unique loving network of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to deliver all the fallen souls. Therefore, he devised many methods to liberate them from the clutches of Maya. For example, Jagai and Madai, he sent out Thakur Haridas and Lord Nityananda, and somehow he wanted them to be done, so he devised that method. All were converted into devotees of Lord Chaitanya, even the Malechas and Yavanas. Only the impersonalist followers of Sankaracharya evaded him. While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Varanasi on his way to Vrindavan, the Mayavadi sannyasi philosophers blasphemed against him in many ways. The blasphemers said, although a sannyasi, he does not take interest in the study of Vedanta, but instead always engages in chanting and dancing and Sankirtan. They don't know his real function. He wanders about in the company of other saints. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected all these accusations. Thus, neglecting the blasphemy of the Varanasi Mayavadis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded to Mathura, and after visiting Mathura, he returned to meet the situation. Confirm if you're hearing me. Please confirm if you're hearing me. I'll pause for a few seconds. Confirm if you, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Something else came on the screen.
Yes.
Okay. This time, Lord Chaitanya, when he returned, stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar, and he was, although he was regarded as a Shudra or Kayasta for the Lord, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely independent. As a matter of principle, Lord Chaitanya regularly accepted his food at the house of Tapan Mishra. He never mixed with other sannyasis, nor did he accept invitations from them. Now, just let me make sure I don't. So we want to go for all of this, but I've got to watch the time factor. So he remained continuously for 2 months to teach. When he came there, Sanatana Goswami also arrived. So there was Tapan Mishra, Chandrasekhar, and Sanatana Goswami. So the Lord had gone there to meet with Sanatana Goswami and to instruct him. For 2 months, he stayed there and instructed him. On the basis of the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which reveal these confidential directions, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami regarding all the regular activities of a devotee. While Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatana Goswami, both Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra became very unhappy. Therefore, they submitted an appeal unto the lotus feet of the Lord. How long can we tolerate the blasphemy by your critics against your conduct? We should give up our bodies rather than to hear such blasphemy. The Mayavadi sannyasis are all criticizing your holiness. We cannot tolerate hearing such criticism, for this blasphemy breaks our hearts. While Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar were thus talking with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he only smiled slightly and remained silent. At that time, a Brahmana came there to meet the Lord. The Brahmana immediately felt a joyful mood. Sannyasis of Benares to my home. My desire will be fulfilled if you also accept my invitation. My dear Lord, I know that you never mix with other sannyasis, but please be merciful unto me and accept my invitation. Lord Chaitanya smiled and accepted the invitation of the Brahmana. He made this gesture to show his mercy to the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Brahmana knew that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never went to anyone else's house, yet due to inspiration from the Lord, he earnestly requested him to accept this invitation. The next day, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of that Brahmana, he saw all the sannyasis of Benares sitting there. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the sannyasis, he immediately offered his obeisances, and then he went to wash his feet. After washing his feet, he sat down by the place where he had done so. After sitting on the ground, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mystic power by manifesting an effulgence as brilliant as the. When the sannyas of the body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their minds were attracted, and they all immediately gave up their sitting place. The Mayavadi sannyasis, and after standing up, he addressed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows, with great restrictions. Anyway, he had over 1,000 sannyas disciples and over 60,000 followers. So he was very powerful. He says, please come here, your holiness. Why do you sit in that unclean place? What has caused your lamentation? Why are you sitting in such a place? The Lord replied, I belong to a lower order of sannyas. Therefore, I do not deserve to sit with all of you. And Prabhupada goes into great length at the purports. That's the case. The sannyas order of the Bharati, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his initial lords. The Mayavad sannyasis were sampradayas. So this is how they viewed it. And they viewed the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be sentimental. They thought actually Prakashananda Saraswati Acharya had gone to left, and he said, why? What is this? He must have been captured by some spell of this sentimental sannyasi. Somehow or other has taken him under his influence. He's become a sentimentalist, like all these lower class persons chanting and jumping around. They're not able to study Vedanta. They're not able to perform great austerities. They're not able to, like that. So that was his mood. But however, at this time, Prakashananda Saraswati caught Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally by the hand, and he seated him with great respect in the midst of the assembly. It's said by the Acharyas that this is the Agata Sukriti. He performed this act of, can you change the photo that I'm seeing on the screen? I'm watching some devotee chewing on something. Please change it if you can. It's very hard. Where were we? Prakashananda, yes. Yes, so that qualified him. Sorry, I keep looking at the thing and I'm seeing somebody trying to adjust things. I've got to close this thing. Hold on. Technology ki jai. I've got to keep it this way. I don't even know if you can you hear me now, Ambarish? Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Prabhuji.
I've got Sanjeev. Can you?
You blanked out, Prabhuji. Your voice went away. We could all try one thing.
Cut your camera, please.
Yes. Let us do one thing. We should
okay,
all
you can
close
still
our
hear
cameras.
Still no.
If we can all close our cameras, it will give more bandwidth to Jai Srila Prabhu to speak. Let us do that, Bhajan. Let's try this. Let us all cut our cameras. Prabhuji, you keep going. So we'll give you more bandwidth like this, hopefully. One suggestion given by Parth Mishra, is a technology guy. Let's see if it happens, Prabhuji. Please
okay. Okay, I'll continue. Thank you. That's it. Changed. That's good. Where we got. So yes, that was his. He just by that simple act that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed him to render some service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then things became beneficial. But Prakashananda Saraswati then said, I understand that your name is Sri Krishna Chaitanya. You're a disciple of Sri Keshava Bharati, and therefore you are glorious. You belong to our Sankara Sampradaya and live in our village, Varanasi. Why then do you not associate with us? Why is it that you avoid even seeing us? You're a sannyasi. Why then do you indulge in chanting and dancing, engaging in your Sankirtan movement in the company of fanatics? Meditation and the study of Vedanta are the sole duties of a sannyasi. Why do you abandon these to dance with fanatics? You look as brilliant as if you were Narayan himself. Will you kindly explain the reason that you have adopted the behavior of lower class people? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to Prakashananda Saraswati, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. So he's coming, very wonderful preaching. He's very humble, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's in like a needle and out like a plow. I think our Srila Prabhupada had that ability also. My spiritual master said, you're a fool. He said, you are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must, this is the essence of Almighty Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching under the guise of, not preaching. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. In this age of Kali, there is no religious principle. This is Keshava Bharati continuing to speak as the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Obviously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord and doesn't need a guru, but just like Sri Krishna himself, he shows the example, especially master. So in this pastime, in the sage of, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining this to Prakashananda, and he's preaching to him. This is the essence of all Vedic scriptures. After describing the potency of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, my spiritual master taught me another verse advising me to always keep it within my throat. Quote, for spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. In brackets by Jai Sila, do you get it, Prakashananda Saraswati? Translation, since I received this order from my spiritual master, I always chant the holy name, but I thought that by chanting and chanting the holy name, I'd become bewildered. While chanting the holy name of the Lord, I laugh, I dance, and I sing just like a madman. Collecting my patience, therefore, I began to consider that chanting the holy name of Krishna had covered all my spiritual knowledge. I saw that I become mad by chanting the holy name, and I immediately submitted this at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. My dear Lord, what kind of mantra have you given to me? I have become mad simply by chanting this Maha Mantra. Chanting the holy name in ecstasy causes me to dance, laugh, and cry. When my spiritual master heard this, he smiled and then began to speak. It is the nature of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that anyone who chants it immediately becomes develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation are known as the four goals of life. But before love of Godhead, the fifth and highest goal, these appear as insignificant as straw in the street. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are the four goals of life, but compared to love of Godhead, which is the highest goal, these things appear like straw in the street. For a devotee who has actually developed bhava, the pleasure derived from Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha appear like a drop in the presence of the sea. So I'm going to have to watch my time. I could continue. This is such a wonderful pastime he described about Prakashananda. It goes on, and it just gets better and better. It does get better and better and better. So this goes on to the point where Prakashananda Saraswati and the, where is that? So many. After the verse 1, right forward, I've got a few of them before. So after this whole wonderful preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing in his instructions of his guru to himself, and then sharing that with Prakashananda Saraswati, the conclusion comes. He explains how it's been twisted by the Mayavad ideas of Sankaracharya and how everything is indirect meanings based on their imaginative powers, then when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Shankaracharya's explained Mayavadi with wonder. All the Mayavadi sannyasis said, "Your Holiness, kindly know from us that we actually have no quarrel with your refutation of these meanings, for you have given a clear understanding of the sutras. We know that all this word jugglery springs from the imagination of Sankaracharya, and yet because we belong to his sect, we accept it, although it does not satisfy us." And then the Mayavadi sannyasis continue and they say, "Now let us see how well you can describe the sutras in terms of their direct Sankaracharya." And now they're seeing clearly that what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained is, yeah, it's very clear. Now they want to hear the direct meaning. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his direct explanation of Vedanta Sutra. So then in 147, I will make sure we get finished in time, so don't worry about the next speaker. I will be good boy and get off. So exciting. When all the Mayavadi sannyasis thus heard the explanations of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the basis of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, they spoke to him very humbly, unified. And I directly this for the offenses we previously committed by criticizing you. But I'll just continue for a couple of verses. We beg forgiveness, 140. Moment when the Mayavadi sannyasis heard the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from the Lord, their minds changed. And on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they too chanted, "Krishna, Krishna," always. They began to chant. In this connection, it may be mentioned that sometimes I won't go into that, sorry. That's another explanation. The Lord Chaitanya excused all of the offenses of the Mayavadi sannyasis and very mercifully blessed them with Krishna Nam. And thus they all took their meal together. Hearing the arguments of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seeing his victory, Chandrasekhar, Tapan Mishra, and Sanatana Goswami were also many Mayavadi sannyasis praised the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the city of Varanasi and all of its people were very thankful. The crowd at the door of his residence was so great that it numbered hundreds of thousands. When the Lord went to visit the temple of Vishveshvara, hundreds of thousands of people assembled there to see him. Whenever Lord Chaitanya went to the banks of the Ganges to take his bath, big crowds of many, whenever the crowds were too great, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up, raised his hands and chanted, "Hare, Hare," to which all the people responded, filling both the land and the sky with the vibration. After thus delivering the people in general, the Lord desired to leave Varanasi. After instructing Sri Sanatana Goswami, he sent him towards Vrindavan, and the Lord left. So this is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He went to deliver the great logician and Mayavadi, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Puri. There are beautiful paintings still there. Different murtis are still there in the temple of Jagannath with the Satbhuj form of the Lord of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're not sentimental. A king, and he followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He offered his whole kingdom to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sarvabhauma was the greatest logician. It's very interesting. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's treatise is still to this day accepted by Vedantists as the greatest treatise on logic, and still to this day academics quote from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's logic prior to his becoming a devotee. So he was such an exalted person, but he was given the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and similarly Prakashananda Saraswati. What to speak of many other times when the Lord revealed his divinity to his devotees in the Mahaprakash revelation, where he sits on the throne of Lord Vishnu and begins to demonstrate and explain to them how he has helped the devotees in so many different ways throughout their lives, as the Lord responding to their fervent prayers and difficulties, and they all realize and they all fall to the ground and ecstatic swoons and so on. So when we're talking of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we're speaking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have 2 minutes. Before 7, so not a lot of thought that might time. So we'll finish at that point, and hopefully someone's still there. And I've not just been told probably no one is there. And we were talking to Ambarish last week. Remember, you said, yeah, just preach to the walls. And Ambarish was sharing. Yeah, one time he had a program and nobody turned up. So that's the mood. We take great inspiration from Ambarish and from the other devotees who are sincerely trying to spread this Krishna consciousness.
Thank you.
So
yes, Jai Shri Prabhu. Are you saying something, Jai Shri Prabhu?
Ambarish, speak to me.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Now I can hear you.
You muted or
Jai Hare Krishna. We blanked out. So, well, we tried our level best with the technology, and I think Krishna is very merciful. It is said that even if one word of Krishna, if you hear, then your sins of unlimited lifetimes are over. And we heard from Jai Srila Prabhu about the pastimes of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most beneficent incarnation, and especially with the discussion he had with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Prakashananda Saraswati. I think most of us could gather many important points, and yeah, with all the challenges, I think it was quite good. Thank you very much, Jai Srila Prabhu. I would like to sincerely thank you very much with all these difficulties with audio, and because I also like to see people's faces when I speak.
yeah, it is nice to do that. It's a little more personal than but hey, we have got what we got. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. So
what we'll do is, Prabhuji, as you request, as you have mentioned to me, next time before you give a class, I'll request Krishna Samapan Krishna Prabhu to come to your home, and he can set up the Zoom on your computer. So that will be much easier when there's a direct connection, and then the bandwidth will be very much better than the mobile bandwidth, because the whole area where we are living, the mobile bandwidth is very poor, very poor. Yes, it's a problem, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Problem with it.
Okay, so again, my apologies to everyone to have to go through that difficult thing. So anyway, I got a little bit benefit from it. It was so exciting to read. So I will clear the air. Please carry on with this wonderful program. Amananda Prabhu, be ready to, and hope. I would be very hopeful that his connection is a lot better and that the devotees are still there and ready to hear from Amananda.
Thank you very much, Jai Srila Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Jai
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Chaitanya ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhu ki jai.
Shri Gaura Purnima ki jai. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so may I request all devotees to please, if you can, wonderful. All devotees are coming online now and showing their faces, the moonlight faces for the
moonlight.
So Now we come to the second stage of our program, the second program on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Transcendental Appearance Day. On Charitamrita Adi-lila, where His Grace Atmananda Prabhu would be giving his discourse and realizations. Now, there are a few devotees and viewers who are following us on YouTube as well. So just for simplicity, I'm going to disconnect you for a few seconds in YouTube and giving you a relink for this current program. So that way we'll have two separate programs and we can listen to the two separate programs separately for the future. So please, our YouTube viewers, don't go away. In a few seconds, I'll come back to you. Atmananda Prabhu, I would like to request you to please take the floor, and I will make sure this technology is moved around and devotees can participate with you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jai Srila Prabhu.